Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smiles.
Jumpstart you as
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha.
Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Elli, Season 8, Episode 194. It is Thursday, the third day, Gimmel, Tammuz, the 18th day of June. The Torah portion is Korach. One second here, I got lost. There we go. The Torah portion is Korach, HaYom, Yom Chamishi L'Shabbos, the fifth day. Counting up towards Shabbos, be learning the fifth Aliyah on this, the 32nd yahrzeit of the Lubavitcher Rebbe of blessed memory. We're talking a lot about the Rebbe today. because without the Rebbe, I wouldn't be here, and subsequently you wouldn't be here. So let's talk about this. But first, let's start our davening. Men and boys, take the two front sitzes. Everybody else, join us in the second bracha. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhma uvaravo nekavim nekavim chalulim chalulim galui v'yadua lifnei chisei Chevodecha she'im yisatem echad mehem o im yipateach echad mehem אי אפשר להתקיים אפילו שעה אחת ברוך אתה אדוני רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהורה היא אתה וראתה אתה יצרת אתה נפחת בי ואתה משמרה בקרבי ואתה עתיד להתלה ממני ולהחזירה בי לעתיד לבוא כל זמן שהנשמה בקרבי מודה אני לפניך אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אבותי ריבון כל המעשים אדון כל הנשמות ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר נשמות לבקרים מתים ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על דברי תורה הריני מקבל עלי מצוות עשה של ואהבת לרעך כמוך I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Torah, Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right, giving tzedakah. Now we're giving extra today for the yahrzeit of the Rebbe. Did you remember to light a yahrzeit candle last night? You can still light one today if you didn't. Preferably a beeswax candle. If you don't have that, a regular 24-hour candle will be fine. All right, tzedakah. Okay. And now it's time for the Shema. Right hand over your eyes. You ready?
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
All right. And now we say the 12 Psukim. Let's try this one today.
שהכל נהיה בדבורוי, שהכל נהיה בדבורוי.
All right, and here you have it. Now we are to breakfast. Was that one better? Did you like that one better because you had the subtitles there? It was a little bit better. All right. Coffee and yogurt for breakfast on this Gimmel Tammuz, making a bracha shehakol. Are you ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nehiyah bidvarei.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way.
All right, you got a messy rabbi over here. All right, today in Jewish history. All right, Gimmel Tammuz. We're going to be talking about the Rebbe a lot, so hang on. On this day, during the Battle of Givon in Emek, the Valley of Avalon, Ayalon, one of the battles to conquer Eretz Yisrael, Joshua, the commander of the Jewish armies, commanded the sun and moon to stop and not set until the battle against the kings from the south was won. Depending on which version you read, some hold it was 24 hours, some say 36 or 48. In the Talmud, it teaches us that was at least a period of 24 hours. Yeshua was involved in conquering the southern part of Canaan, and Shabbos was fast approaching. Not wanting to do battle on Shabbos, he prayed for a miracle. Sun, prayed Yeshua, be still at Givon, moon at the Ayalon Valley. The heavenly bodies acquiesced, halting their progress through the sky. The sun stopped twice, once at midday and once before sunset, until the armies of Israel brought the battle to its successful conclusion. Yep, it's written in the book of Joshua. The Haidamak, the military bands massacres were held in the Ukraine. The peasant serfs and Cossacks rioted much in the same vein as Khmelnytsky 120 years earlier. At Uman, the Poles and Jews defended the city together until the Polish commander, under the Polish commander Ivan Gonta. The next day, convinced that only the Jews would be attacked, Gonta allowed the fortified city to be entered without a fight. Approximately 8,000 Jewish people were killed, many of them trying to defend themselves near their shul. Hashem should avenge their blood. As soon as the Jews were all massacred, the Haidamaks began to kill the Poles. In 1851, there was a great fire that destroyed much of the town of Lubavitch, including the home of the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was also named Menachem Mendel. He was known as the Tzemach Tzedek. Many invaluable manuscripts of Hasidic teachings were lost on that day. And on this day in 1871, Emperor Alexander II of Russia allowed the printing of Jewish books in Russia. All right. The sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe was arrested on the 15th day of Sivan in 1927 by agents of the Soviet secret police and Yevsektia, which was the Jewish section of the Communist Party, for his work to preserve and disseminate Jewish learning and observance throughout the Soviet Union. Held in the notorious Palermo prison in Leningrad, he was repeatedly interrogated and beaten. Initially sentenced to death, international pressure compelled the Soviet regime to first commute the sentence to 10 years hard labor in Siberia and then to a 3-year term of exile in Kostroma, a town on the interior of Russia. On the third day of Tammuz, today, 18 days after his rest, he was released from prison and allowed 6 hours at home before reporting to the Leningrad train station to embark on his exile. Many gathered at the train station to see him off. Though he knew there were GPU agents present, he spoke to the assembled crowd, encouraging all to persist in the exact activities for which he had been arrested. This, he proclaimed, all the nations of the world must know. Only our bodies were sent into exile and subjugated to alien rule. Our souls were not given over into captivity and foreign rule. We must proclaim openly and before all that any matter affecting the Jewish religion, Torah, its mitzvahs, its customs, is not subject to coercion of others. No one can impose his belief on us, nor coerce us to conduct ourselves contrary to our beliefs. On the 12th of Tammuz, coming up next week, after serving only 9 days of his 3-year term, he was informed that he was free to return home. Shortly thereafter, he was allowed to leave the Soviet Union and resettled in Riga, Latvia. Much history, much history. All right. Today is the yahrzeit of the Lubavitcher Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson of blessed memory, who passed away in the early hours of the 3rd of Tammuz in 1994, the year 5754 from creation. It is very important to know who the Rebbe was and why we talk about the Rebbe so much. One of the reasons is the very reason that you are here. All right? Were it not for the Lubavitcher Rebbe, you would not be here, because I came to Lubavitch because of the Rebbe, and therefore you are here because of that. All right. A new Torah was brought into the Rebbe's home to read. Here's a video about that. No, we're not muted. There's no sound on this video. Okay. Now, what's the story with the Rebbe?
Ich habe geschrieben zweimal, nicht nur gern den Rebbe-Brief, sehr wichtig. Zu Punkt, ich habe schön gewöhnt und ich habe das Maske sein mit dem Ziel, mit dem Schwert.
Als Zadig, Anossi, Lejazev, 10 Marise, und viele, wenn gefühlt sich beim MORID, bei Adrabe, wenn gefühlt sich beim MORID, ist mehr Rachmim Rabbim als 10 Marise, wenn sicher Mekuyim werden, die alle Pidjenis, was sie mit zu bringen, auf den Ziel von der Siderenu. Ich habe nachher nicht so gemacht, aber ich habe mich schreiben, ich nehme den Brief auf den Ziel und die dritten MASHIV, und dann noch die Schwer, was darf mit warten auf die Menschen von mir, durch Mail.
Here's another one.
Ich habe geschrieben zweimal, nicht nur gern den Rebbe-Brief, sehr wichtig. Zu Punkt, ich habe schön gewöhnt und ich habe das...
Friede schon, wird noch mehr lebendiger und noch mehr starker und noch mehr aktiv zwischen unseren Bauern und durch uns bei jeder Jeden und bei allen, bis in der ganzen Welt.
All right. These are great videos, right?
I'm making this video to honor the Rebbe on this very special day, where we commemorate his memory, his soul, his life work. Now, the Rebbe for me is an amazing person, role model, leader, teacher, has taught me so much, and I've seen so many of his miracles, and this is something I really want to talk about. that sometimes there's a person who makes one miracle, but everything that comes from the Rebbe is an ongoing, continuous machine of miracles happening everywhere. All the shluchim that have gone to the four corners of the earth, that are helping Jews wherever they are in struggles, from India to Guatemala to China to all sorts of places, saving lives, giving food, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. So for me, the most that I take from the Rebbe is how he's able not only to create miracles in his time, but that miracles are still happening. And it's such an amazing thing to have had such a righteous individual sent to us that is still a teacher till this day, even though his body has physically left, his soul is still here with us. And so I wanted to really honor that. And also a big chizuk to all the Jewish people who are watching this, to take inspiration from the Rebbe that looked at every negative situation and always found a reason and a positive for why that is happening, and a use of how to take that and to make us better people and to do better work in this time. So may we all take that inspiration and be the best versions of ourselves for all of us collectively to fulfill the tikkun of Am Yisrael and to bring Mashiach now.
Wow. Wow. All right. So you may ask, all right, I never met the Lubavitcher Rebbe. How am I expected to be a chassid of the Rebbe if I never met him?
For those born after Gimmel Tammuz, is it wrong for them to view the Rebbe as an abstract concept? So I would say that the question, is it wrong, is maybe not the best question, because the question is, how can we view the Rebbe as a concept that's not abstract? So I'd like to say two stories. One story that I heard from the famous mashpia, Reb David Raskin, Olav Shalom. He was Farbrengen, and he told this story. He says he was a bacher in Samarkand, in Russia. And as Bachrim, it's communist Russia, there's obviously a Mesirus Nefesh, self-sacrifice that's demanded of them. And as Chassidim, as Tmimim, as Bachrim, there's Avodah, there's davening, there's everything that's demanded of them. And one time they wrote a letter to the Frierdiker Rebbe. The previous Rebbe was already at that time in New York. Now it was impossible, you couldn't just put a letter in the mailbox. But there was someone leaving Russia, so they gave him the letter with stamps. He was going to Europe, but they gave him the letter and money for stamps so that he can stamp it and put it in the mailbox in Europe so he can send it to the Rebbe. They didn't know the Rebbe's address, and so they wrote the Lubavitcher Rebbe, New York, USA. That was the address they put on the envelope. Now you can imagine in today's day, when the Rebbe would receive so many thousands of letters, so maybe it would be easier. But at that time, the Frierdiker Rebbe wasn't receiving as many letters. But yet somehow, maybe even miraculously, the postman managed to find it, and it arrived at the Rebbe, at the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Rebbe's secretary, the previous Rebbe's secretary, wrote an answer, somehow smuggled it back into Russia, I don't know how. At the bottom of the answer it said Nun Beis, P.S. The Rebbe's address is 770 Eastern Parkway, and in the future you can write to that address. When they received the letter, and this is what Reb David Raskin told, he says, when we received the letter, we sat down and we farbrenged the entire night with these 4 words, 770 Eastern Parkway. The Rebbe now has a physical address. None of them had ever seen 770. None of them even dreamed that they would ever see 770. They didn't know what Eastern Parkway is or what it looks like, but it didn't make a difference. For them, the fact that they can now relate to the Rebbe in a physical manner was something with which they farbrenged the entire night, and it gave them chayes, it gave them life. For who knows how long, for their avodah, for what they had to do, and their mesirus nefesh, the self-sacrifice that they had. The Rebbe has a physical address. And it's something for us today as well. When we know that the Rebbe has a physical address, the Mittler Rebbe explains this at length. that even though seemingly we can connect to the Rebbe anywhere, but the fact that we go to a physical address, and the fact that we know 770 Eastern Parkway, this is where the Rebbe is, and when I go here, it's not whether I see it or I don't, but I'm connecting to the Rebbe not in a spiritual way, but in a physical way, in a physical space, with a physical pen and a physical paper. The other story that I remember, Rebbe Velvel Kesselman came to visit South Africa, came to visit his son, who's the mashpia in our yeshiva.
My story.
He's a Chassidish Yid from Kfar Chabad. And he came, and the Bachrim were verbring with him, and the Bachrim asked him the question. They said, you were born before Gimmel Tammuz. You saw the Rebbe physically. What can be expected of us to connect to the Rebbe if we never saw the Rebbe in a physical manner? And he said to them two things. The first thing he says, you should know I'm jealous of you. That you, despite the hardship and despite the darkness, and you're still chassidim, and you're still connected, and you still do what the Rebbe wants, and you still give your lives over, that's unbelievably amazing. And then he said, second of all, I'd like to tell you something. I grew up in communist Russia. And he says, we had in our town, there was one person that had a picture of the Rebbe. It was too dangerous to have that picture out in the open. They hid it in their backyard in the ground. Once a year they would take it out of the ground, and we would go, b'tchilu rechimu, we would go with the greatest awe and respect once a year to be able to just gaze at that picture. He says we didn't have siches, we didn't have mamarim of the Rebbe. We didn't have letters of the Rebbe. We didn't have videos. We didn't even have a picture. So we had a similar type of thing. And yet a chassid knew we have a Rebbe, and that's why we're connected to him. And today, the Eibishter arranged it that we have videos, we have pictures, we have letters, we have siches, we have mamarim, and so for sure we could make it into something real in our lives, something that we connect with in truth and in reality, and with this to bring about that immediately we should have the revelation of Mashiach, and that we should once again see the Rebbe in a physical manner in the third Beis HaMikdash as he takes us all out of Galus.
Here.
All right. Two more quick videos for you. Are you ready?
There are visionaries who don't just lead people. There are visionaries who don't just lead people, they lift generations. A Rebbe who believed in you before you believed in yourself, who taught that no Jew is too far, no moment is too small, and no challenge too big, and who showed the world isn't broken, it's waiting to be transformed. His teachings, they're more relevant now than ever before. We sat down with those shaped by his words, his mission, and his fire, to understand the revolution he sparked and where it's taking us now.
All right, youtube.com/meaningful people. if you'd like to view that. All right, Rebbe, my Rebbe, where are you, my Rebbe? Yali Mutznik.
It's been so many years since we've seen his holy face, but we know he's still here. We can feel his embrace. The Rebbe lives on. He's blessing us now and guiding our lives in so many ways. His care for each Jew runs deep and strong. He yearns for a better world, but it's taking too long. He's the leader of our generation. He's the Moshe of our times. He's the Nasi Ador. He's the Nasi Ador. He's leading us to the Geulah. He's my Rebbe, he is my father. He guides my entire life. He's the Nasi Hador, he's the Nasi Hador. He's leading us to the Geulah. Oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, you are. Oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, you are. So connect in your way, find one that works for you. Charge up every day, keep it real and new. Oh, learn his holy books, picture his face. Oh, daven at the OHEL on 770 his place. The day is coming soon that we will see him again. His dream will come true, and this Golus will end. He's the leader of our generation. He's the Moshe of our times. He's the Nasi Hador. He's the Nasi Hador. He's leading us to the Geulah. He's my Rebbe, he is my father. He guides my entire life. He's the Nasi Hador. He's the Nasi Hador. He's leading us to the Geulah. Oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, you are. Oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, oy Rebbe, my Rebbe, you are. I'm learning your Torah.
All right. Yoey Muchnick, thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful song. All right, I think you get the idea. The Artside observances are to be followed in conjunction with the letter of the Lubavitcher Rebbe from when his father-in-law passed away in 1950, the year 5711. He gave many, many, many requests over there, and one of the things you should do is light a Yartzeit candle, learn the Rebbe's Torah, sing the Rebbe's Nigunim songs, study Chitas, Chumash, Tillim, and Tanya, which is what we are doing right here on this broadcast, which we do every day. And in general, just, do the right things. There you go. All right. Lots more about the Rebbe coming up. Let us now go to a word, HaYom Yom, and then a word.
HaYom Yom, thoughts for the day, 3rd of Tammuz. Sometimes there are just no words. 3rd of Tammuz and what that means, there are just no words. Today's entry is about a hurt that is so deep it can't be articulated. It spontaneously pours out, almost involuntarily, from deep within us. And then, we must make it something meaningful and purposeful. The groan stems from the deep distress. The next step from the conviction that we are tasked and capable of moving forward.
We always talk about the importance of living in a positive environment. You don't have to be a great philosopher like the Rambam to understand that people, by nature, are influenced by their surroundings. That's why Jewish law says that if the inhabitants of the city in which you live don't live up to a certain standard of moral behavior, then you should get out of that city. You should move away. Now, how do you reconcile this with the Rebbe's practice of sending out shluchim, or emissaries, to towns and cities that don't even bear a trace of Torah environment? Says today's HaYom Yom. You can have a single chassid in a town where there is no Torah environment. But if that chassid devotes his heart, mind, and soul to the study of Torah and to strengthening Torah values, then you will find that in this scenario, instead of seeing the natural pattern where the individual is influenced by the environment, in this case, in the case of this chassid, the individual will influence the entire city. And all aspects of the city will be positively influenced by this chassid, by this individual. So instead of the natural pattern, you have something which is supernatural, where the individual, instead of the city changing the man is changing the city. Why? What about this fellow allows for him to literally transcend nature? Says the HaYom Yom, it's because this chassid is not there on his own account. It's by merit of our patriarchs, the fathers of the world, who themselves were people who transcended nature.
Oh, yeah. You know that is the case. It's amazing. All right, and now a word from our sponsors. And now a word from our sponsors. PestProRidal.com.
PestProRidal.com, trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidal.com.
Tarzan Group, micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzangroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565 and order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzangroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids, beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're
11
shopping
p.m.
there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Helping lots of people any way we can. Tzedakah is the Jewish way to help your fellow man.
All right, if you would like to do a triple mitzvah, giving tzedakah, helping Torah all around the world, and helping Breakfast with Elli, all you need to do is scan the handy QR code that you see on your screen. Scan the QR code you see on your screen, and that will take you to breakfastwithelli.live/support, breakfastwithelli.live/support, where you can help us to keep this broadcast alive by contributing whatever you can. $1, $18, $54, anything. It all helps. All right? Let's learn some Torah. Hey, Dragon, how are you? All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Everything you've done is absolutely amazing for us. It is Thursday. It is time to do Rabbi Sachs' Covenant and Conversation. Let's get started.
When truth is sacrificed to power. What was wrong with Korach and his fellow rebels? On the face of it, what they said was true and principled. You've gone too far, they said to Moses and Aaron. The whole community is holy, every one of them, and God is with them. Why then are you setting yourselves above God's congregation? They had a point. God had summoned the people to become Mamlechet Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh, a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation, that is, a kingdom every one of whose members was in some sense a priest, and a nation every one of whom was holy. Moses himself had said, Umi yiten v'chol am Hashem nevi'im, would that all God's people were prophets, that he would place his spirit upon them. These are radically egalitarian sentiments. Why then was there a hierarchy, with Moses as leader and Aaron as high priest? What was wrong was that even at the outset it was obvious that Korach was duplicitous. There was a clear disconnection between what he claimed to want and what he really sought. Korach did not seek a society in which everyone was the same, everyone a priest. He was not, as he sounded, a utopian anarchist seeking to abolish hierarchy altogether. He was instead mounting a leadership challenge. As Moses' later words to him indicate, he wanted to be high priest himself. He was Moses and Aaron's cousin, son of Yitzhar, brother of Moses and Aaron's father Amram. He felt that it was unfair that both leadership positions had gone to a single family within the clan. He claimed to want equality. In fact, what he wanted was power. That was Korach, the Levite. But what was happening was more complex than that. There were two other groups involved, the Reubenites, Datana and Aviram, and the 250 Israelites, men of rank within the community, representatives at the assembly, and well known. They too had their grievances. The Reubenites were upset that as descendants of Jacob's firstborn, they had no special leadership roles. And according to Ibn Ezra, the 250 men of rank from the other tribes were upset that after the sin of the golden calf, leadership passed from the firstborn within each tribe to the single tribe of Levi. This was an unholy alliance and bound to fail, since their claims conflicted. If Korach achieved his ambition of becoming high priest, then the Reubenites and the 250 men of rank would have been disappointed. Had the Reubenites won, Korach and the men of rank would have been disappointed. Had the men of rank achieved their ambition, Korach and the Reubenites would be left dissatisfied. The whole disordered, fragmented narrative sequence in this chapter is a case of style mirroring substance. This was a disordered, confused rebellion whose protagonists were united only in their desire to overthrow the existing leadership. None of this, however, unsettled Moses. What actually made him become angry was something else altogether. The words of Datan and Aviram, "Isn't it enough that you brought us out of a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the desert, and now you want to lord it over us? What's more, you haven't brought us to a land flowing with milk and honey, or given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Do you think you can pull something over our eyes? We will definitely not come." The monumental untruth of their claim that Egypt, where the Israelites were slaves and cried out to God to be saved, was not a land flowing with milk and honey. It was that finally made Moses angry. What's going on here? The sages defined it in one of the most famous statements. Kol machloket she l'shem shamayim sofa leitkayem. Any dispute for the sake of heaven will have enduring value, but every dispute shelo l'shem shamayim, not for the sake of heaven, will not have enduring value. What's an example of a dispute l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven? The dispute between Hillel and Shammai. What's an example of one not for the sake of heaven? The dispute of Korach and all his company. So says the Mishnah in Avot chapter 5. The rabbis did not conclude from the Korach rebellion that argument is wrong, that leaders are entitled to unquestioning obedience, that the supreme value in Judaism should be, as it is in some faiths, submission. To the contrary, argument is the lifeblood of Judaism, so long as it's rightly motivated and essentially constructive in its aims. Judaism is a unique phenomenon, a civilization all of whose canonical texts are anthologies of argument. In Tanakh, the heroes of faith, Abraham, Moses, Jeremiah, Job, argue with God. Midrash is founded on the premise that there are shivim panim la Torah, 70 legitimate interpretations of Torah. The Mishnah is largely constructed on the model of Rabbi X says this, Rabbi Y says that. The Talmud, far from resolving these arguments, usually deepens them considerably. Argument in Judaism is a holy activity, the ongoing dialogue of the Jewish people as it reflects on the terms of its destiny and the demands of its faith. What then made the argument of Korach and his co-conspirators different from that of the schools of Hillel and Shammai? Rabbeinu Yonah offered a simple explanation. An argument for the sake of heaven is one about truth. An argument not for the sake of heaven is about power. The difference is immense. If I argue for the sake of truth, then if I win, I win. But if I lose, I also win, because being defeated by the truth is the one defeat that is also a victory. I'm enlarged. I learned something that I didn't know before. But in a contest for power, if I lose, I lose. But if I win, I also lose because in diminishing my opponents, I've diminished myself. Moses could not have had a more decisive vindication than the miracle for which he asked and was granted, that the ground open up and swallow up his opponents. Yet not only did this not end the argument, it diminished the respect in which Moses was held. The Torah says the next day the whole Israelite community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. They said, "You've killed the Lord's people." That Moses needed to resort to force was itself a sign that he'd been dragged down to the level of the rebels. That's what happens when power, not truth, is at stake.
And we will stop there for today. We'll continue that tomorrow, just a little bit more to go. The fifth Aliyah describes the test of the staffs. Hashem tells Moshe to take a staff from each of the 12 tribes with the name of each tribe's prince, the Nasi, written upon the staff. Another staff was taken to represent the tribe of Levi, with Aaron's name written on it. These staffs, MATE, were placed overnight in the Kodesh HaKadoshim chamber of the Mishkan, the Holy of Holies. Next morning they were removed, and miraculously, Aaron's staff had budded with almond blossoms and almonds, further proof that Aaron was Hashem's choice for high priest. All right, let's hear from Rabbi Avtson quick. Part 5, the staffs.
Jewish audio on Chabad.org.
Having the earth swallowing up the rebels proved that Hashem had selected Moshe as his emissary. By burning the rebels who offered incense, Hashem proved that he wanted Aaron to be the high priest. But beyond this, Hashem also wanted to demonstrate that Aaron deserved this distinction on his own merit, not because of Moshe's merit, and despite his role in the incident of the golden calf. So therefore Hashem speaks to Moshe and he says, "Speak to the Israelites and take from them a staff for each shevet, each tribe, 12 staffs, and inscribe each man's name on the staff. In addition, take Aaron's staff and inscribe Aaron's name on the staff of Levi. For even though the tribe of Levi is divided into Kohanim and Leviim, there's nonetheless only one staff for the head of their father's house. You shall place these 13 sticks in the Mishkan, in the Holy of Holies, before the Ark of Testimony, the Aaron, where I commune with you. The staff of the person I will choose will blossom, and I will thus calm the Israelites' complaints that they complain against you, ridding myself of them." Moshe spoke to the Israelites, and each of their princes gave a stick, one for each prince, a total of 12. Moshe put Aaron's staff in the middle, so that they cannot say it blossomed because it was closer to the ark. Moshe placed the staffs before Hashem in the tent of meeting. On the following day he came, and behold, Aaron's stick had blossomed. Specifically, it gave forth blossoms. These flowers dropped off, and the staff sprouted buds, and then produced ripe almonds. This signified that just as almonds ripen quickly, so will someone who opposes the selection of Kohen be punished quickly. Moshe took out all the staffs from before Hashem and showed them to the Israelites, together with the flowers that fell off Aaron's staff before it sprouted almonds. They saw, and each man took his stick. By showing them the fallen flowers as well as the sprouted staff, Moshe showed them that Hashem had miraculously made the staff flower and produce fruit, but did so following a plant's natural progression of growth. This indicated that Hashem chose Aaron for the priesthood of his own volition, but that the priesthood thereby had become Aaron's own nature, and he was therefore suited for being Kohen Gadol by virtue of his own intrinsic merits.
All right. All right. Parsha points with Rabbi Epstein.
Parsha points Korach for Thursday. Why almonds? Was there a peanut allergy that we were sensitive to? It's the speed. The mission of the Kohen is speed, not just his own alacrity, his capacity to fast track our service of Hashem, to get us pre-approved, skip the line, move the needle faster. He ain't doing it for us. He greases the wheels, then we drive down that track. That's the Kohen, the expediter. He's on your side.
Today, Gimmel Tammuz, where thousands and thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of people are visiting the Rebbe's OHEL. There's a line of 5 hours before you can get into the OHEL. 770 packed to the rafters to be at the Rebbe's usual time of prayers. What do we do of this day? The day when 32 years ago, as we spoke yesterday, the sun did not set. But what happened? Let me share with you soon a few reflections. But before this, thank you to Hashem. MITZVAH l'soido, hori uladenu kol haaretz, ivdes adenu b'simcha. Boi lefanav birnona duke adenu elim hu asanu v'lo anachna ama v'tzoi marisoi. Boi yishor b'soido chatzoreise b'siloi. Hoide lebaruch shmo ki tov adenu le'olam chasdo v'yadoi v'dor amunasoi. And we give some tzedakah. Our reference for everything is in the Torah. So I want to read to you a few verses regarding the quote-unquote passing of Moshe Rabbeinu. And of s8e bracha, chapter 34, verse 5. Verse 4. Ve'omer Hashem Elov, and God says to Moshe Rabbeinu, s8e oretz asher nishba'te l'Avram, Yitzchak and Yaakov, when he showed them the whole land, this is the land which I promised, but you will not get there. And then it says, Vayom Hashem Moshe, Eved Hashem, and this is where Moshe, the servant of God, died, Be'eretz Moav, in the land of Moav, Al Pi Hashem, by the mouth of God. Basically, it means that called God's kiss, an embrace. God took him to him. And then it says further, Vayigbar oisoi bagai, and he was buried. Be'eretz Moav, mul beis po'er. God then buried him in his preordained gravesite, located north of the Mount Nevoy, in the valley, in what was originally Moav, but was now the territory of God, the tribe of God. And then the Torah continues, V'lo yoda ish es kvorosoi ad HaYom hazeh. Translates in English, no person knows the exact place of his burial site to this day. That's what the pasuk says. But we do know. The pasuk says where, gives us the indication. And what it means that we don't know his place of burial. We don't know respect to the English translation. But if we're referring to the place of burial, then the Hebrew would have had to be V'leyoda ish es mekoim kvorosoi. Nobody knows the place of his burial. That's not what it says. It says nobody knows his burial. I think there's something important here. We're not concerned about the place of burial. Basically what the pasuk says, we do not understand that concept of the burial of Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Because as it says in the Zohar, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't die. And in fact, there's a whole Talmud discussion in the Gemara Tainis, where the Gemara has a whole discussion about Yaakov Avinu, where it says clearly, Yaakov lemeis, Yaakov didn't die. And the Gemara asks the question, so why did they embalm him? Why did they bury him? And Rashi says, because they thought that he was dead. In their impression, in their imagination, he died. And Rashi says, Avol chai hoyod, he was actually alive, and la'olam is eternally alive. What the verse says over here, when we're dealing with the Moshe Rabbeinu, when we're dealing with the Yaakov Avinu, who is the Bechira Avos of the three patriarchs, he's the main one. He's called the perfect, the complete one. When we're talking about the Rebbe, the Ish HaShalom, a complete, the perfect person, the one who's designated, the one who is the presumed Moshiach, the one who's going to take us out of exile. That concept of passing, we don't understand. Why? We don't understand how he lived. Do we understand that Moshe Rabbeinu lived for 3 times 40 days and 40 nights in heaven without any food, without any drink? Do we understand the Rebbe's lifestyle that, as an example, for the whole Yom Tov of Sukkot, he wouldn't sleep at all, and he would have Farbrengens, and he would be dancing as if he would at most rested? Do we understand that the Rebbe could stand for 6-7 hours and give out dollars physically? Impossible. Do we understand that the Rebbe can sit by a Farbrengen and speak non-stop without any notes? We don't understand it. So we don't understand the life of Moshe Rabbeinu, we don't understand the life of the Rebbe, and we can't understand what his passing is. What we do need to know is, are we alive?
Tehillim, chapters 23 and 125.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, בינוס דשא, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי לך בגץ על מובס, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני. כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
שיר המעלות הבטחים באדוני קראתי אלוהים עד לעולם ישב ירושלים הארץ סובב לו ואדוני סובב לעמוד ויעטו ביד עולם כי לא ינוח שבט הרשע על גורל הצדיקים למען לא ישלחו הצדיקים בעוולות ידיהם היטיבו אדוני לטובים ולישרים בליבו יצום והמשך לא יצום ירליכם אדוני יצפויה ליאהב שלום על ישראל.
All right, Pirkei Avos is up next.
We're on Abba Perak Daled, Mishnah Yud Daled, 14th Mishnah, in the 4th paragraph, Pirkei Avos. Rabbi Nehorai Omer. Rabbi Nehorai is a very interesting personality in the Mishnah. The Kahati brings down, it's a big machlokes about who he is. Is he Rabbi Nehorai or Rabbi Meir? Many say he's Rabbi Meir. That's Meir means to bring light. Nehorai in Aramaic is to bring light. Others say he's other Tanaim as well. And he has some very famous comments about, like in the Mishnah in Brachot, the Gemara in Brachot brings a comment to Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Nehorai, who says, I only want to teach my children Torah because Torah brings me reward in this world and in the next world. So here is a very connected comment, we'll call it. Habi golel makom Torah. A person should exile himself to a place of Torah. Don't say that the Torah will follow you. Why? Or let's not say why. That your friends will fulfill the Torah in your hands. So there's two ways to understand. So, is v'al tomar shehi tavo acharecha. Okay, don't say the Torah will follow you. For your friends, yikaimu biyadecha. Meaning, I don't have to go to Makom Torah because my friends will fulfill it in my hands. Or, have gola lemakom Torah. A person should exile himself to a place of Torah, and v'al tomar shehi tavo acharecha, and don't say that you will follow me. Why? Because in the exile, for your friends will fulfill it in your hands. Let's see. Okay? Don't say, a person should exile himself to a place of Torah. Let's say you live in a place, you say, I can study where I am. I don't have to go to the yeshiva. I don't have to go to the center of Torah. No, you have to go. Why? Okay? Don't say that it will follow you. Okay? And that I don't have to go. Don't assume that your friends who went to learn in yeshiva, they'll fulfill the Torah in your hands. Why? I'll learn from them. They go to yeshiva, I don't have to go. Rather, you should exile yourself to the place of the Rav. Because you can't compare hearing it from the Rav, the experience yourself, to hearing it from other people. That's interpretation number one. Okay? Don't say this. Don't say that. Okay, that's one explanation. Pirush acher. Okay? Why do I say why do I say you should exile yourself? Because your friends will fulfill it in your hands. Even if you are sharp, very meticulous. Pilpul means you can understand different kinds of things. Pilpul is a kind of learning, of deep understanding and learning. You're not going to fulfill the Torah except through your friends. Meaning your friends are in yeshiva. It's one thing, you can stay at home, you can learn, whatever, right? You can learn on your own. But the idea of going to a makom Torah is where there's a center of Torah, where there's tisav b'titein mahem. You give and take with them. Therefore, and that's why you have to go to makom Torah. And finally, he finishes ve'el binatcha al tisha'en, and don't rely on your own understanding. Okay, meaning even if you don't go, okay, ve'el binatcha al tisha'en, okay, and you'll say, right, the Rambam says, I don't need other people. I can stay where I am. No, don't rely on yourself. You have to go to a place where there are other people. There's a center of learning, a center of growth, and I think it's common sense. We often don't really realize or recognize or forget that you have to go and you can't just rely on yourself. We'll stop here. Dedicate our learning to memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.
All right, let's go and learn some Tanya for today. Gimmel Tammuz.
Tanya thoughts for the 3rd of Tammuz. God said, let there be light, and there was light. To whom did Hashem say this? There wasn't anyone else to talk with. Speech is more than the relaying of information, instruction, or emotion. It's the gelling of ideas and impulse. It tangibilizes a notion, gives it nuance and substance, makes it eligible to express and communicate. Our words may fail us. Hashem never doesn't express himself properly. His words are him. So listen closely.
Thank you for joining Tanya in 5. Today's lesson for the 3rd of Tammuz. We begin chapter 11. Chapter 11 in one word is MORID, utterance. Till now we've been speaking about the emotive attributes of the divine and how they are totally distant from the essence of God, but yet totally one with God. Totally bound up in one with God. Therefore God is the knower and known, and the knowledge all as one, and therefore he knows himself, and by knowing himself he knows us. Now the Alter Rebbe goes further, because creation ultimately does not come merely from the emotive attributes of God, but actually comes from the 10 utterances. And these utterances that we have in the Torah are designated utterances only in relation to us, creatures down here. Now let's understand, how does an emotion work in the human soul? Very simple. In order that an emotion should become revealed in action, before it comes into an action, it needs to be clothed in letters of thought. In other words, we need first to think about that kindness, and likewise it is with the attribute of God's holiness. So for example, the attribute of kindness and mercy of the soul cannot become revealed unless one thinks about it and then contemplates the act of charity, for example, in actuality. For one cannot act without a thought. It might be a minimal thought, but there has to be some kind of thought. And likewise, it also can be expressed not just in thought, but in action, that act of kindness, when one speaks words of kindness and compassion to a friend. Now, an emotion that we have of love, that we have a feeling towards a beloved, a friend, that is an infinite feeling, because it could be expressed in infinite ways. It could be expressed by I love you, it could be that you are special to me, in many different ways and words and thoughts and actions that it could be expressed. But the fact is that one emotion could lead to many different types of expression of that emotion. So this is what we need to understand over here, figuratively speaking, when we speak about the attributes of God. In order that they should be revealed in creation, it needs to have an utterance. It needs to have the combination of letters in order that there can be, so to speak, an action that comes from that emotion. Just like we spoke about the human being, in order that there should be the act of kindness, there needs to be that emotion, but that emotion needs to be clothed in a thought. It needs to be clothed in letters, and those letters of language and thought that ultimately express also in speech. So for instance, gives an example over here. The creation of light comes from the attribute of kindness. It was the first day it was created, light, and it is an expression of kindness. It is a flow of the act and of an action of God, as it were, the power with which He produces and creates light. Now, this act of creating light comes through an utterance. What is that utterance? As it says in one of the 10 utterances, let there be light. Now, although, of course, when we speak about letters and of thought by God, they're not like ours, so we should not make a mistake. Of course, it's a metaphor to understand an idea over here, but nonetheless, the phenomena indicates about bringing something from the existence of light from nothing. So likewise, like the thought, before wasn't there, now it pops up. So likewise, the thought or the utterance is bringing from the state of nothingness into being. Hence, light has to be created from the particular utterance, even though it's an expression of God's emotion of kindness, but it needs an utterance. Why? Because that same emotion of kindness that God has can be expressed in something else. For example, water. Water is also an expression of God's kindness, and hence it has its own letters that need to create it. Just like when I have a feeling of love towards a beloved, I can express it in many different ways, in infinite different ways. I need a specific expression in order to have a specific action or a specific sentiment that will be brought across. So therefore, when God creates, ultimately it's not the emotive attribute that is the final force of creation, but it's the utterance of God that's an expression of that emotion, the divine emotion. So it follows that all life forces and powers which issue from His holy attributes, to create them ex nihilo and to give them life, they have to be given and expressed through His holy letters. They are the flow of life that express His will, His wisdom, and His attributes to bring the world into existence. And to bring the world into existence, there's two types of existence that are brought. There's the hidden worlds, the unrevealed worlds, that they're sustained by the thought of God. And then there is the revealed worlds, which is the worlds that we know in this world, of course, that comes through His word and the breath of His mouth, And as is brought through as example again of man's speech that reveals to the listeners that which is concealed and hidden in his heart through speech, and likewise this being the revealed world then comes through the utterance of God himself. And that is Tanya 5. Thank you for joining.
No, it's not impossible that Rebbe did say, just study Rambam each and every day. I'll never miss my daily Rambam.
Are you ready for class number 136? Here we go.
As we learned yesterday, fundamentally, Meiser Sheni produce should be brought to Jerusalem and eaten there. However, there are two cases where even after bringing the Meiser Sheni to Jerusalem, one is forbidden to eat them. And that is, number one, negative mitzvah 150, the prohibition to eat Meiser Sheni in Jerusalem if it is ritually impure. In that case, the food must be exchanged for money, which is used in turn to buy other ritually pure food. The second case where one is forbidden to eat Meiser Sheni is negative mitzvah 151, the prohibition to eat Meiser Sheni while one is an onen. An onen is a reference to somebody whose close relative has died and he hasn't yet had a chance to bury him. He's forbidden to consume Meiser Sheni.
Baruch Hashem, today is day number 136 of our daily study of Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. And in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we are continuing Hilchos Meiser Sheni, the laws of the second tithe. And corresponding to that, we have a few mitzvahs today, actually 2 mitzvahs. 2 negative commandments. All right. Negative commandment 150, the prohibition against eating the second tithe while in a state of ritual impurity. Remember, we spoke about the fact the owner of the second tithes has to bring it up to Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, and eat it there. Now we're adding another stipulation. He cannot do so, meaning it is a prohibition against doing so, if he is in a state of ritual impurity. And by the way, that applies also if the food is in a state of ritual impurity. So whether the owner is impure, the person is impure, and the food is pure, or the person is pure, but the food is impure. Either way, it's prohibited. Negative commandment 151 is the prohibition against an einain. An einain is somebody who is the next of kin of a deceased person, and during the initial period before the burial, this is an acute stage of grief, and they may not eat of the Meiser Sheni while they are in that state, because eating from the Meiser Sheni is supposed to be a joyous thing, and it can't really be done that way when a person is, God forbid, in an acute state of grief. Okay, those are our mitzvahs today. We will see you for more Meiser Sheni related mitzvahs tomorrow, God willing.
והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, משיח צדקנו, הרבי מלובביץ' מלך המשיח, הרבי מלובביץ'.
All right. Big one today. The anniversary of the Rebbe's passing in 1992, the art site. On this same day, the previous Rebbe was released from prison. On the same date, Yeshua miraculously stopped the sun, giving his armies enough daylight to complete a crucial battle. The Rebbe often spoke of the connection between the previous Rebbe's redemption and the miracle of Yehoshua. Perhaps we can relate these teachings of the Rebbe's passing and our own efforts to fulfill the Rebbe's lifelong goal of bringing the final redemption. Then Yeshua spoke, and he said, "Sun, stand still upon Givon." And the sun stood still. And there was no day like that today or any day after that the Lord hearkened to the voice of a man, for Hashem fought for the Jews. What's truly remarkable about this miracle is the way it was performed. Yeshua didn't ask Hashem to stop the sun. Instead, he simply told the sun to stop, and Hashem fulfilled his command. The Rebbe explained that this was possible because of Yeshua's total dedication to Moshe and his complete faith that Hashem would do what was necessary to grant him access and success. In this sense, Yeshua posed an advantage over Moshe. Moshe couldn't rely on a miracle and had to use the power of tefillah, prayer. Yeshua had simple faith in his master's merit and didn't hesitate to demand miraculous success. Think about that, huh? The previous Rebbe taught that we must fulfill our mission with the same feeling. That is, our mission is Hashem's will, and it simply cannot be otherwise. When we approach our mission with this attitude, the Rebbe explains, we are guaranteed success, and supernatural results will come about in a completely natural manner. The Rebbe charged us all with the mission of bringing Mashiach and making the final redemption a reality. So on this day, let us rededicate ourselves to this cause with total devotion, with complete faith in the Rebbe's promise that Hashem will help us in every way to succeed. All right, Shmuel 3, ready?
The exact date we are not allowed to say. Nobody's allowed to say an exact date the Mashiach's going to come. So I'm not going to make any exact date. I'm just going to repeat what our sages have told us and certain prophecies that have unfolded and what the Rebbe said that indicate how close we really are.
Mashiach's waiting at the door. So let us greet him and come back home. Come back home. Finally home in the place where we belong. It's been so long that we've been gone. So lost and alone, scattered all across the globe. But now that we are back again, we beg you, please resume your throne. We're finally home.
There's a beast inside. It awaits you for its tikkun, its repair. How do you fix up the human beast? Well, with tefillah, with prayer, then with food, but ultimately by doing business. You need to start with meditation and prayer because that beast inside you needs to experience not only wonder, but even love of Hashem. The problem is, in prayer and meditation, you haven't met that beast on its own ground. Next, you eat your breakfast like a human being is meant to eat, a step higher than the food you consume, raising it up by letting it pull you down by saying a bracha before and after. Then yes, you've met your own human beast on its own ground, but not on its own terms. You're still fighting with it, against the desire to be pulled down into the food. So then go out into the world and provide goods and services of value. And do that with integrity. No longer are you fighting against the human beast, you're working with it and from within it, and all the talents and skills that you have apply. Because otherwise you're not providing the value for which others are paying, and that's not integrity. So now you can understand why the very question asked of the neshama when it returns from her mission in this world is not, how did you pray or what did you eat, but did you do business with integrity? For that is when you are truly fixed up with the world, and that is the definition of tikkun olam. You want to talk about that more? We can do that. Come to me on any of the Actors Rabbis groups at, are you ready? Hold on. Click a link over here, Ellie. Let's go. All right. At Blue Sky, Clubhouse, Discord, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, or YouTube. Or you can email me at theactorsrabbi@gmail.com, or you can go to theactorsrabbi.com and sign up for our life coaching services and for our weekly Breakfast with Elli newsletter. Here's Parshas Korach, all ready to go out later today. You can still get in. Go to breakfastwithelli.live/mail, breakfastwithelli.live/mail, and you can still get in on today's newsletter going out so that you can learn with us even on Shabbat. I think that's awesome. All right, let's make an after bracha.
Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam boirei nefashos rabos v'chesronan al kol ma sheborasa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chai haolamim.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Tarzan Orchids. Where did we go? I lost my train of thought. My train derailed. All right. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, who are Pest Pro Riddle, Tarzan Orchids, Dina D Design, Bracha Biederman, Reza Musavi, Wendy Cohen, Julie Heber, David Wetman, and our two anonymous donors. Continue, please, to donate to us. If you would like to become a donor, scan the QR code you see on your screen, which will take you directly to breakfastwithelli.live/support, breakfastwithelli.live/support. And you can help bring Torah around the world. That's your mission, to bring Torah all around the world. All right, super big mitzvah. So if you can participate, it is more than appreciated. All right? Okay. Rebbe, oh Rebbe, we need you. A beautiful, beautiful song about us longing for the Rebbe to be able to see him once again in a physical body. And I know we all long for that. So I'm going to play that song for you today. It's one of my favorites. Go out and make it a good and glorious day. Do something nice, something good for someone today, especially in the merit of the Rebbe, whose yahrzeit it is today. 32 years ago, we lost the Rebbe physically. We cannot see him, but his teachings live on. His shluchim, his emissaries live on. And it's a shluchei shel adam kamesed, that an emissary of a person is just like the person himself. So as long as you're learning the Rebbe's Torah, he's here with us. Don't forget that. All right. In the words of Rebbe Isaac Hamler, have affection for a fellow. Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow. Hashem will do a kindness for you. Draw a fellow close. Hashem will draw you close to him. Make it a great and glorious day. Be the reason someone smiles, and we will see you, God willing, tomorrow. Don't forget to get your newsletter. Bye-bye.
With the Tehillim he sat through the night, wandering deeply into his flight. The Rebbe's image in front of his eyes. Oh, here is Mashiach, he sighed. 3
I know that you're listening, and that as much as I want to be with you, you want to be together with me, my friends, and all our fellow Yidden. Yes, we have bitachon, and I know that in MITZVAH Hashem soon, you will be gesund. But Rebbe, now in these final darkest moments of Galus, Dafka now do we need your help and your holy presence more than ever. Rebbe, we need you to be with us again in health and in koyach. Hashem, Ad Masai.